Another Phantom Event religious movie, I Am the Immaculate Conception, aka Mary, Mother of Jesus. Is this documentary, I always say that word so stupidly wrong, worth your time? Let's find out. Chase Liaki here with the Blue Futon reviewing I Am the Immaculate Conception. What's about? It's pretty simple premise. It's a doc about Mary or the Immaculate Conception, told through different aspects of priests, through Adam and Eve, through her as a mother, through her as a child, and things like that. And we try to intertwine it with like things that happened in Paris in the 1800s, same with Saint Bernadette in Lourdes, France, as well as things that happened in the United States as well. So did I like this movie or doc? Did I get some information out of it? Unfortunately, I did not. And with these movies like this, I want some new, fresh information. Yes, this might be new and fresh for some people that are just completely new to these docs, or to religion, or to Mary, or to the story of Jesus. But if you aren't new and you knew like what Lourdes, France was, if you know what happened in Paris, if you know what happened in these other parts, you might be disappointed because you're a little bit underwhelmed. So talk about the positives. I do think this is a good start for people that don't know things about I Am the Immaculate Conception or Mary, because that whole part, I Am the Immaculate Conception, is a huge thing for Saint Bernadette. And that's where I was just like kind of like twirling my thumbs in the movie, like, when are we going to talk about Lourdes? When are we going to talk about Lourdes? When are we going to talk about Lourdes? And finally, the last third of the movie, they finally do it, because that's a huge part of where, if you don't know that story, Saint Bernadette, she had a learning, I want to say a learning disability, but she was slow at learning in school and things like that. And then she goes to a grotto and she says she sees a lady, and a priest kind of like throws her away like at this door, which is not near the grotto. It's kind of up on a hill. Like, just go tell me who the person's name was. And then so she goes down, asks for the name. Mary says, I'm the Immaculate Conception. She goes to the priest, and the priest is like, how do you know that? How do you know that? And that's where it kind of like spiraled to what it is today with the grotto. And that's a very sacred place for a lot of people, my family as well, for things that happen there. Like I said, when I visited there in October, I've seen some things, not like miracles, but just craziness where, you know, you're in the baths and it's not just like, oh, really, like Europeans, Americans, Indians, Koreans, Ukrainians, Australians, Mexicans, that are all like just doing this as a religion thing. So it's like a big melting pot, and it's really nice to look at. Let's put it that way. Also, I think when it talks about these different places, that's where I liked it the most. There are some interviews with some priests in here, and they do some information, but it's very basic, and some of the information is just stuff that you've kind of already heard before. There is one that talks about this Chronos and Kranos. I'm saying it completely wrong. It's like a thing about a timeline and how God sees all of it all at once. You're just like, okay, I've never heard of that before. Maybe I'm just a basic little boy. And something happens in the very beginning about a huge church in DC, which is cool and all, but here's the thing. Nothing's going to compare to the churches in Europe. I'm sorry. That's where Europe has America beat, is their history of churches and how things look. It's just immaculate what people can do. People joke on the architecture of like what McDonald's used to be, what it is now, Pizza Hut now. It's the same thing with architecture. It's like people are like, oh, people were stupid back in the day. Yet they made these fantastic buildings through and through. And I know that's not talking about this movie, but I don't know. And then everything else about this movie I was a little bit disappointed in, because the first half, like I said, talks about the church in the United States. Then it talks about Mary, about like, you know, her parents trying to conceive. And then the angel comes. Mary's born, but they wanted a son. Everyone wanted a son back in the day. Mary is, you know, learning in a synagogue, things like that. Then she, you know, gets told by the angel, you're going to conceive son, Jesus. You're going to call him Jesus. He's going to be the Son of God. And then you get the story of having some Jesus moments. But the thing is, we already have a lot of Jesus stories. I know it sounds weird, but I want Mary stories. I know there's that movie on Netflix, and I heard it's not the greatest, but I will be watching it very soon. But I think that's the biggest unfortunate event I have with this film is I wanted more information about her. And we got such a surface level just story of what she went through and things like that, where I was just like, ah, I understand we want to talk about Jesus. We want to talk about St. Bernadette, which I really enjoyed that part of the movie. We want to talk about these other experiences where people have seen Mary. But what about Mary herself? It feels like she sometimes gets thrown in the background. That's unfortunate. But when you go to places like Lourdes, she's not in the background. She's 100% the foreground. When I had to carry Mary, the statue, and do this big circle, and they had it in the movie, it brought back memories because there's like, hey, go to that church. And I'm like, okay. Now you're going to carry this statue with 3 other people, of course, and then Italians, you are going to rotate. It's like Americans and Italians, and we rotate like every, I would say, 15 minutes. And it was a hard thing, but, I did it through and throughout. But overall, I Am the Immaculate Conception, it's an okay crafted doc for very surface level information that, you can get from other sources. You don't have to watch this doc to get it. When it came to the real stories, I really dug it. But mixing with these segments and these real life places, it just yes, I understand you want to talk about Jesus and bread and turning water to wine, but I want to know about Mary. I want to know a little bit more about Mary. So I Am the Immaculate Conception will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 60%. So let's see the critics news scores gave this one. So we are at really nothing with the audience, nothing with the critics. I feel like I might be in the wrong with this one, but I just felt disjointed and kind of disappointed. 60%. Chase Lock here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One more thing is Bluetontopia. You Blue Tony, take a watch. Have a great day. Watch this tape tomorrow, week from month, or a year for every single freaking one of you. Peace and love. Peace and love. And just be good to each other. Let's be good.